Have you ever thought to yourself and got discouraged that gardening is not going to be possible for you because you just don't have the space? And I know I've heard that concern by many people that they just don't have the space to grow. Maybe you live in an apartment, maybe you don't have a backyard and you have a patio, or maybe you do have a backyard but it's really small. And then you see all these other gardeners online or in different spaces and they have all this space and raised beds and in ground and they're growing. But I want you to know that you can still grow in a small space, in a little space, even to the inside of your home. But we're going to look at some things that you can do so that you can grow in a small space. So have you ever heard of a grow bag? Well, this is a grow bag. I love grow bags because I can use it for various things, almost everything. I've grown potatoes, sweet potatoes, and I'm going to show you some images as well of all the different things that I'm growing in here. I've grown flowers, but they come in different sizes. This is a 20-gallon grow bag, but I also have 25. They come as small as 5 gallons, 3 gallons, 10 gallons, and even way larger than what I have here. But it gives you the opportunity to be able to have handles if it has it, move it around if you need to take your pot to a shaded area, put them on your patio, on your porch, on your balcony, because they come in different sizes. In this 20-gallon grow bag, I am growing ground cherries. I love ground cherries. They're so sweet. They're so good. It's like a mixture of a fruity pineapple, little round, looks like a little tomato, but it's not. And then you bite it and all the juicy sweet flavors just pop out in your mouth. It's just amazing. So I'm growing that in here, but I'm also incorporating some herbs and flowers like marigolds, Mexican mint marigold, also some lemongrass and nasturtiums to really kind of help protect the plant by deterring any kind of like animals or pests that may be interested in the ground cherries. And as you can see in this one as well is what I did, the exact same thing. But these two are grow bags, and if I need to pick it up, which I'm not going to, probably a little heavy because it's 20 gallon, but I could. But I could if I wanted to. I could lift it up and move it to another location if it needs shade. This pot has a lot of different things as well, different than the last one that I just showed you. There is kohlrabi and blue feathered leaf lettuce, which grows all the way up. That's why I have these stakes here, so that the lettuce, it could grow up, and it's beautiful. It just makes my garden look so gorgeous. I even have sugar snap peas, some onions in here, and what else? I think that's all that I got in here for right now, but it's just really awesome. Oh, some more onions. So just some different varieties. So right there, I've got some leafy greens. I've got kind of like a root because it's more of like a kohlrabi if you ever had one. It's crunchy. It's almost like the texture of a radish, but it's sweet. It's not bitter. It's really nice. It's just really a nice addition. And then this blue feathered leaf lettuce that can be used similar to like greens or eat it fresh like a lettuce, but it's just a different type of texture and taste, but it's pretty awesome. But that's in this large garden pot. In this pot, I'm growing lemongrass, and this is going to grow super huge and super large. But I grew lemongrass in here last year, and it was very successful. It was able to grow in a pot like this. And lemongrass is a tropical plant, but in my growing zone 7, I'm kind of like a 6-7 growing zone, I can still grow it as an annual. So I have to get rid of it in the winter. So all of you that have tropical weather, whoo, you're so lucky when it comes to lemongrass, because you can keep having lemongrass fresh all year long. But at least I can still grow it in a garden pot. I don't have to plant it in the ground and then pull it out, just in a garden pot, topple it over, and then hey, harvest the leaves and I'm good to go. But look, in a container, and you can even plant it in a smaller container. Just it may need to be fewer stalks of lemongrass, but you really can grow lemongrass on your patio balcony as long as you got at least 6 hours of sun. That's really all that you need, at least 6 to 8 hours of sun, and your plants will grow just fine. Now, I want to honestly say that I remember the size of these pots, but I got them maybe 5 years ago. I don't remember, but I know they're not a 10-gallon, so they're probably a 5-gallon. That's my guess. But they're not a 10-gallon because I have a 10-gallon grow bag. So they're about a 5-gallon, and I know they're not a 3-gallon. That'd be too small for this. But in here, I've got marshmallow plants that are growing, a perennial. I left them outside. I didn't even pull them inside because these are perennial plants. So I left them here. They stayed there. And I think there was maybe a few weeks where I brought them in where the weather was just going to be too harsh. It was just really, really bad. Here where I live, it was just ice storms, all kinds of things. So I brought it in there just for safe purposes. But look, they're thriving, doing well. But I also have planted flowers in here, zinnias, marigolds, just beautiful flowers, just so that I can attract pollinators into the garden. So you can use little pots for different things as well. I want to show you one more thing before we now talk about vertical gardening, and so stay tuned so you can hear about that. But these are blackberry plants, and look, they're in a pot. And these blackberry plants were given to me by my neighbor, gave them to me last fall, and so I put them in pots. And look, they are doing well. These eventually, I want to have them in my raised bed, but I'm using my raised bed for something else. But this is just to show you and just to prove, take a look at that, that you can even grow fruits in pots. And sometimes there are certain plants like mint and certain aggressive plants that do way better in pots, because if not, they will take over your garden. And you know, you can grow juicy strawberries in containers as well. Look at that. I know this is not a container, but I'm just letting you know that you can grow strawberries in containers as well. That is good. One thing you're going to find all over my garden are trellises. If you have a very limited space, then you really want to think about vertical gardening. Vertical gardening is where you think about growing up. So you can use a tomato trellis. You're growing up. Maybe your tomato trellis is in your pot. Or maybe you've got some stakes. Put the stakes in your garden pot, like I have with that one plant that I showed you with the 2 green stakes, where the lettuce plant is going to grow up. It gets about 5 feet tall. And then look at this. If you have the space for something like this, you can get a cattle panel. These are cattle panels. And it was really large, and we sawed it, cut it down to smaller pieces so that it could fit the way that I wanted it to. But I'm able to grow squash, that vine, cucumbers, peas and beans. That's what's vining up. And so rather than it sprawling out everywhere, all over the ground, I don't have to think about that. I just allow it to grow up. If I wanted to put another pot behind here and put another trellis, look, you get the concept. I could put a lot more things in a smaller space. I could put another pot here, another pot here. I mean, I wouldn't here if I didn't have this, but let's just say this is your place. Another pot, another pot, another pot, and you're trellising all the way back. So over here I have another trellis, and I've got different squash plants and different vining plants here. So I really want you to think of growing up. Vertical gardening, especially if you are small on space, that will allow you to grow a lot of things in a small space. I really hope that this video was helpful and you were able to get some ideas on how you can grow small spaces where you live and containers. Do not underestimate the power of containers. You can grow a lot of nutritious, healthy food for you and your family. If you would like to know how I grow indoors, then check out the links that I'm going to add in here. Look at the videos. If you have any questions, drop me a comment or a question. I would love to answer and respond to you. But just give it a shot and give it a try, and don't let the limit of space stop you. Subscribe to this channel if you have not. Give me a like and get the notifications. But until then, remember to grow, eat, self-care, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.